Now, it's been a little over a year since the artist, known as OneIn5, and otherwise known as Adam Tarry, dropped his debut album, The Fight Against Joyless Control. And already he's started to drop a few hints that his next record is beginning to emerge. And I caught up with him as he begins the road to the release of album number 2 and asked what's been going on for OneIn5 since his last full-length release.
What's been going on? It's such a light-hearted question, and the answer's probably quite depressing, to be honest. So, but I'll be honest, right? I think we should probably normalise talking seriously about stuff that goes on. So sadly, I lost my dad, I lost my dog, and in losing my dad, I also lost my mum's primary carer. So in a lot of 2023, I was bouncing backwards and forwards between Guernsey and Wales, providing care for my mum who's got dementia, which is all a touch on the depressing side, but actually is a fantastic basis for needing to undertake therapy in the form of making music. So in a way, quite inspiring, but quite a difficult time, and a time which I'm quite glad to say has kind of calmed down a little bit now.
So you've sort of said the new album, the new music you're working on is sort of taking a different direction. I mean, is that sort of informed by all of that?
I think the content and the lyrics are always informed by whatever's going on in my life. I have a very sort of automatic writing approach in that I will sit down with the guitar and see what words come out of my mouth and then combine them with any other words I might find in my phone and then sort of look back and retrofit any meaning to them. And when I do that with the album, I can definitely see an awful lot of stuff going on there about the year that I've had. But I don't think musically that's necessarily pushed it in a different direction. I think that's more a feeling that as I got to the very end of the fight against joyless control, I began to feel a little bit like I was following a bit of a formula. And I suppose one of the benefits, shall we say, of not having a huge fan base is perhaps I can get away with experimenting a little bit harder if I want to. So that, I suppose, is what the driver behind the new album has been.
So it's sort of been a conscious choice to try and mix it up a bit, really.
Yes, and I mean, I'm a very simple songwriter, but I do enjoy production. So I suppose when I come to do the production, that's the piece where I've deliberately denied myself some of the tools that I was relying on quite heavily. So, I mean, if you've heard the other album, obviously it's very noticeably rock music. It has very big drums. In most cases, when it gets loud, you can guarantee there's going to be a guitar in your left ear and a guitar in your right ear. So moving into the new album, I very consciously ramped down the drums and forbade myself from putting guitars in both ears, basically, and used that as a starting point. Now, I've got to say, as the album evolved, I've drifted back to some of that, but I think in starting strong, I've managed not to drift back too far into those old ways. But yeah, time will tell.
And you said there a little bit about sort of how you do your songwriting. I mean, is it a case of you just sort of spontaneously go, right, I've got half an hour, I'm going to do something, or is it just something comes to you and you kind of go for it? Or
yeah, I think it's a combination. I think you're always on the lookout for little out of context snippets that somebody says on the TV, or even lyrics that I'd misheard from other bands for a significant period of time, suddenly found out what they were and therefore stolen what I'd misheard. But my phone will always have a load of notes in it. But the genesis of a song is normally one or two lines that will literally just come out for no other reason than to delineate a vocal melody. So I'll be sat there, usually in a 20-minute gap between doing two other things, find something interesting on the guitar, shout some random words over it, and then just carry on working it up from there. It's often not until I bring it into the digital workstation there that I'm sure if it's going to become a song. I can get quite far down that road and then decide it's rubbish and stop. So
that was OneIn5, otherwise known as Adam Tarry, and we'll hear more from him shortly. But first, this one is a brand new one, actually, from him. I think this is the first play we're giving it. This is OneIn5 and Yellow Suns.
Inside your rose smashed
brand new one from OneIn5 there from his upcoming second album. That one was called Yellow Suns, and I continued my chat with Adam, the man behind OneIn5, by asking about the track that is this week's track of the week, Hot Mess and No Rain, and well, what it's all about.
I suppose, again, with my comments from before in mind, which is I very much retrofit the meaning. When I sit there and actually look at what the words are about, I think it probably is about a time when perhaps I had a few less responsibilities, didn't have a mortgage, and therefore could spend a little bit more time partying than I do at the moment. But I guess it's also about remembering the good aspects of that, the pieces of it about living in the now and trying to bring some of those feelings forwards into a life that's probably a tiny bit more controlled and a little bit less exciting now, if I'm honest.
Is this one kind of representative of what people can expect from the whole album?
I think it's probably one of the safest tracks on the album. There's a lot of synchronicity in the air at the moment. I've just been listening to a podcast in my car talking about how important it is to embrace failure and being cringe. And there are definitely some tracks on the new album that I'm still not 100% sure about, but it's too late now, so they're going to be coming out. But yeah, I think even though this one, perhaps, you know, there are two verses and a middle eight, all of which are just one chord over and over again, and then quite randomly a completely different section at the end. So I think from a song construction point of view, it's still quite strange, but I do think it's probably more recognisable as OneIn5 than some of the other tracks on the album.
I think it's probably fair to say that you've sort of come to releasing your own stuff in this form kind of later than a lot of people released their first records. But, I mean, does that mean you've had a lot of sort of stuff just sort of in the back of your head for ages that you're finally getting out? Or is this all completely new stuff that you're coming to?
I mean, musically, I didn't pick up a guitar really until about 4 or 5 years ago. So although I've always had words in my head, and when I was younger I was pretentious enough to write a couple of short books, I haven't really had music in that way. As you're probably aware, I was a drummer in some bands when I was younger, and looking back at those times probably was somebody who interfered much more in the songwriting process than a drummer should have done. So I think the itch has always been there. But as you know, it wasn't until I started working with Sam that really I began to sort of entertain the idea of creating any of my own music.
That was Adam Tarry, aka OneIn5, and the Sam he mentioned there was Sam Brace, guitarist, singer-songwriter with several bands over the years, including Skinny Lister in the past. It's probably the biggest one people might have heard of. And he's now also preparing for the release of some new solo material, co-written with Adam, and he sent us this one as a bit of a preview of it. This is an exclusive first play of the new one from Sam Brace, co-written with OneIn5. This is Graceless.
Carry yourself like you own the world, but you're graceless. Graceless. hustle and flame, pounding again, but you're graceless. Graceless sort of call them off now. Embrace it. Far from all the sound, you're graceless. You carry yourself like a paradigm, like you own the world and the suns, but you're graceless. Graceless sort of hustle and flame from the drugs we take, pounding again like a headache. You're graceless. Graceless sort of call them off now. Embrace it. Far from all the sound, you're graceless. When you're on your own, and the birds are sent and fall left home, when the shades are thrown, the age and sunshine here will drive us on. Worry myself, I've no empathy. Don't have my nerves these days, 'cause you're graceless. Graceless sort of trudging along in the ghost of you, tasting the blood in your mouth. You should face this. Graceless sort of call them off now. Embrace it. Far from all the sound, you're graceless. Call them off now. Embrace it. Far from all the sound, you're graceless.
That was an exclusive first play of the new one from Sam Brace. That one was called Graceless, co-written with our guest tonight, Adam Tarry, otherwise known as OneIn5. And I continued my chat with Adam by, asking about working with Sam.
Yeah, so Fever and Bone was co-written, and his EP that's just come out was also co-written. Those were songs we were working on probably nearly a year ago now, so it's crazy that they're just coming out. And talking about synchronicity earlier, I believe as we sit here, he is sound checking with his new band, the Merciless Bronze, who will be playing Fever and Bones and a few tracks off that EP at the very first full band live gig. So I heard their rehearsal the other night, and it's super exciting to hear these things sort of sprouting into life in different places. But yeah, certainly working with him, putting ideas down that I could share with him, became a process that I got more and more excited about. And after a while, just thought, hey, I'm going to bring some of these ideas out and use them for myself.
When you're writing with him, because you sort of started doing it over lockdown and things
That's
like that,
right,
didn't you? And when you are collaborating with someone like that, and they're sort of, I guess, on the other side of the continent most of the time, I think, from what I can tell.
Yeah, in Greece. Yeah.
And I mean, how does that work with having a writing partner compared to when you're just doing your own thing?
Yeah, I think it was a great collaboration for both of us, really. I think my influence allowed him to probably push away a little bit further from the stuff that he was playing, you know, from the sort of folk punk stuff, which I think he loved but had run its course. And his feedback for me, I suppose, really helped with my imposter syndrome, and allowed me to get to a point where I could actually entertain the idea of letting anyone hear me sing, I guess. But the actual process was very much prepare something, stick it onto a shared drive somewhere, listen to it, have a chat over Skype or something like that, and talk about it, and then bring it together. With him certainly picking up the last part. He was very much doing the hard yards on the production and the arrangement at that point, which was very good, because at that point I really didn't know which end of a guitar to blow into, if I'm honest.
Back to your own stuff. Obviously, you're sort of a one-man in the studio band, but is there any plan to expand it and to make it a live thing or do anything like that?
There are a few logistical challenges which I'd welcome your opinion on, actually. I'm very time-starved. As you know, I've got a day job and a few other bits kicking around, so the idea of actually rehearsing with a band is a bit challenging from a time perspective. But I think more and more there's a flexibility of approach where you see a DJ working with a live violinist, or you see an artist like Billy No Mates at Glastonbury who's effectively performing to a backing track. And as you might be aware, I did a bit of experimentation with that last summer just to make some promotional videos. The itch is beginning to grow. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I'll be brave enough, but I think we were both at an excellent gig with Tontal and Sleeper and Lila and Jean the other night, and I was sat there just thinking, do you know what, it would be amazing to be up there on the stage again. So I think it's a never say never, and a lot of rehearsal.
And I guess when's the new album out? What's it called? Where are people going to be able to hear it?
Yeah, new album is called Whatever This Is, which I think in itself is indicative of it taking a slightly different and slightly confusing turn. At the moment, I'll probably put out another couple of singles. I think you've got a pre-release of one. And then the album will probably come out towards the beginning of next year, I think. But yeah, I'm sort of on my own timetable there. So as long as nothing panic striking happens, that's definitely the plan.
BBC introducing,
supporting new and emerging acts across the BBC.
I'm OneIn5, and this is BBC Introducing's track of the week, Hot Mess and No Rain.
Take the pill, drink the water, post the IOU to future you. That's just grey matter, it doesn't matter. Post the IOU to future you.
As the man said, that was our BBC Music introducing track of the week for this week. And that was 1in5 with Hot Mess and No Rain, first single from his upcoming second album, which looks like it'll be out sometime in the new year. If you keep an eye on his socials, follow him in the usual sort of places, I'm sure he will keep you well abreast of that.